I'm joined by Natalie Jennings. She's political editor at the Washington Post. I also hope to be joined by Cindy Sain, the Voice of America correspondent. Appreciate both of you joining us. Let me come to you, Natalie, first. It appears we are in for a very long, drawn-out, protracted battle because Donald Trump seems unwilling to accept these results. What really are his options now?
Well, we will know probably within a couple of hours whether media organizations, the vote counts, everything like that will determine if Pennsylvania goes to Joe Biden. And if that is the case, then based on the numbers, Joe Biden will be president-elect. I think, yes, like you say, the question after that is how far does President Trump push with his, not being able to, not formally accepting the results. And even if he doesn't formally accept them by saying, I concede that Joe Biden won this race, how hard does he fight? Does he just not formally accept the results, or does he really push his supporters? And that is what determines how long we're going to be waiting on this.
Because the sense one gets, Natalie, is he's not willing to accept this result. He's just issued a press statement saying that he believes that he's won the count in these 4 states and he's going to fight it out. Can he? There was an article in the Washington Post by Fareed Zakaria that seemed to suggest that he can actually take this in a way constitutionally and continue to fight and reject the vote. Is that really possible?
He can go into court fights and try to litigate small matters, but he would have to change a lot of votes to change that. So it really becomes a question of his attitude and his posture and how much discontent he wants to sow. Technically, the numbers will be in, and unless something is really proven solidly to change those numbers, and there's not proof at this point that there's any reason for that, it becomes a bit of a argument over his posture and how much he wants to sow division. It could be very bad, but we're trying to report at the Washington Post to understand whether this is bluster at this point, whether this is something that he really wants to press, and whether he will push this very hard in terms of the legal fights, or just not technically say, I accept the results. I think that's what we're looking at now. And of course, pushing it really hard becomes a much more divisive thing.
Cindy Sain of the VOA, when do we expect that Joe Biden will actually claim victory? Because it appears as of tonight, we will only probably get a final result, a final projection with numbers possibly for Georgia. All the other states could go on into the weekend. Do you see the Democratic challenger claiming victory tonight itself?
Well, that's a good question. And we've all been on this emotional roller coaster together. And as the votes are still counted, the votes are still being counted in so many states. And as we've been saying, it does look good for Biden. So far now, he is leading in these major states, except for North Carolina. So right now, VOA has been cautious. We still have Biden at 253 and Trump at 214. But as everyone knows, a win in Pennsylvania for Biden, that's 20 electoral votes. That's all he needs to win. So we're expecting that, as I would say, for Pennsylvania to be called as soon as this evening, our time. And so once Pennsylvania has been called, I think we could expect Biden to come out. And I also, the Washington Post is reporting that Biden is getting more Secret Service protection there in Wilmington, Delaware, at his home. So there's some signs that behind the scenes things are moving forward.
But we still don't know whether Mr. Trump is going to go away into the sunset quietly, right?
That's correct. And as you said, his campaign just put out a notice saying this is not over. I noted with interest that the Republican Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, tweeted this just a little while ago, all legal votes must be counted, which seems to be the talking point or the argument for President Trump and his supporters, making this distinction between count all the votes and count the legal votes, somehow implying that some of the votes may not be legal. But as we've been saying, there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud or that it's a rigged election or anything like that.